Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I will describe to you our clutchbag that I prepared from a famous brand, Rafip. Let's see the model closely. It is a very easy example, even those who are new to knitting can do it very easily. I am sure you can easily prepare such a bag in a day. Look, I will describe the model to you. We have completed our bag. There will be a lining on the inside, a zipper on the mouth. Finally, I will share that part with you on the Shop Here account. I started to put some bags up for sale. I just opened my Shop Here account. If anyone is curious, I will add the link to the description below. You can look from there. It is really easy and enjoyable to make. I hope you like it and try it. I'm sure you can easily prepare such a bag in a day. It is really enjoyable. You never want to let it go. I shared all the details with you step by step in the video. I hope it will be useful content. Before moving on to our detailed recipe, I would like to make a small request from you. You can subscribe to our channel for free, like the video and leave your comments. I would be really happy. Let's move on to our recipe. I will use the shelf yarn I bought from Aksa Knitting Boutique to knit our bag. The knitting is a very soft shelf yarn. It does not hurt the hand at all. But you can also use paper yarn instead of shelf yarn, or you can use different yarns you have in this work. My crochet hook size will be 3.5 millimeters. You can determine your own crochet hook size according to the thinness and thickness of your own yarn, the tightness and looseness of your knitting. One ball will be enough for our bag. We start with a chain right away. After locking our first chain, we prepare our starting chains a little looser than the setting we knitted. We complete the first stage by pulling a total of 50 chains. Here we have prepared our 50 chains. The model consists of multiples of 3. We will obtain the number of tight stitches in the form of 3 plus 3 plus. Accordingly, I pulled 50 chains. If you want to make the bag smaller or larger according to the size you will make, you can play with the size of your bag as you wish by changing the number of chains. You can also make it smaller or larger. Now at this point, we turn the reverse part of the chain, not the straight part. We will use the dotted lines right behind. Look, we use this technique quite often, but it is useful to show it this way for beginners. Look, we will use the dotted lines here. Now we will leave the last 50th chain we knitted and enter the back dotted line of another chain. We made a loop. I have 2 stitches. I am filling them. I wrap them inside 2 stitches. I pass the yarn through them and obtain a single crochet. I insert the yarn into the back cut line of the next chain. I took off the loop. I have 2 stitches. I am filling them. I am knitting my single crochets by passing them through both of them. Now in this way we will knit single crochets by inserting into the back cut line of each chain. We will create our single crochets in this way for a row. Let's proceed to the last point. Now look, we have come to the end of our row. We are inserting into the last points here. When we come to the last chain, look, when we come to the last chain, I insert into the back cut line. I am knitting my first single crochet. Now look, I am using the same chain again. I am inserting into the same space. I am holding the short yarn on the yarn like this. And by passing it from the back, look, I take it to this side in a way that I will hide it. And I remove the loop from this point and knitted the second single crochet into the last chain. I knit the third single crochet by entering into the same chain again. In other words, by returning to the last chain, look, we have knitted 1, 2, 3 single crochets. As I said, we need to proceed by counting this. Our single crochet count will not be a multiple of 3. Now look, we are moving on to the opposite side. We will have reached our starting point by knitting our single crochets on this side. Now I am inserting right under the single crochet here. Look, I am inserting under the next single crochet. This also looks like a spike. When we do it with this technique, there will be no gaps at our starting point in these bottom parts. Look, now we're hiding the short yarn. I'm sinking into the bottom of the next tight stitch. Look, I'm sinking into the chain point. I'm sinking into the same chains again. And I'm knitting tight needles again. By the way, look at the shelf yarn without making it too thin. How do we do it with thinning? I don't keep the stitches too long. Look, we don't keep the stitches at the beginning long. I made a sinking. I took it out from the point. When you knit raffia yarn by stretching it a little bit and making the yarn clear, the texture of raffia yarn becomes more apparent. Otherwise, it looks a little more like paper yarn. If we knit paying attention to this, you will see that your hand gets used to raffia yarn. Now look, we knitted 3 single crochets in the last chain. By knitting single crochets in the other points, we are now proceeding to the point where we first started here. Now look, we have come to the end of our row. We knitted a single crochet in the last chain. We knitted one single crochet here when we started. We obtained 2 single crochets opposite each other in this way. Now, when we count the single crochets here, look, we have counted all of them in the form of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, always 3 plus 3 plus. I will not give the number of single crochets here. As I said, multiples of 3 will be enough for our model. Now I want you to look at the last chain here. We used the 50th chain here as a return chain, and we knitted our first single crochet by inserting it into the 49th here. Now look, there is a gap here. This 50th chain is actually the chain we left for the return. I inserted into this chain. I knit 3 single crochets to this point like this. I knitted my second and third 3 single crochets. Now I am coming. Let's not knit the top of the first single crochet, even the third one. Let's make a slip point here so that it looks nice. Look. I knitted 1 or 2 single crochets to this chain, the 50th chain here. Then I come to the top of the first single crochet. I made a loop. I slipped the loop I made from the waiting loop. With this slip, we obtain 3 single crochets again. In other words, the pattern consists of 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus single crochets. Now I make 2 chains like this in this part. I fill it to the beginning of my hook. I came to the point where the same single crochet was and made a loop. I have 3 stitches and I wrap. I collect 3 of them at once and knit a single crochet. I wrap. Is it also called a runner or a single crochet? I fill. I insert the next stitch at the top of the single crochet. I took off a stitch. I have 3 stitches and I fill. I collect 3 of them at once and wrap again. I insert my yarn to the beginning of the hook and insert the next single crochet. I took off a stitch. I have 3 stitches and I wrap. I collect 3 of them at once and I fill. I insert the next point and knit single crochets like this. Look, I extend the stitch a little. By knitting single crochets like this, we will knit the whole thing on the return. And look, at this point here, we will knit 1 single crochet for each one and move on to this side. Look, we are working completely flat. There is no folding or anything like that. Look, we will continue from here. By knitting the whole thing, we will have advanced to the first 2 chain space we started here. Now we started from here. We continued by knitting our single crochets. Look, we continued by repeating the same process in this turn and came to the last tight needles. Look, I'm also inserting into the last tight needle points here. I am knitting my single crochets. There was also a slip point. Look, in the part where this slip point is, I am not inserting into that point because I accept this point as 1 tight needle again. Look, I am coming. After knitting the last tight needle I knitted without touching the 2 chains, I insert into the top of the single crochet without touching the chain point. I took off a stitch, I took off a stitch, I accept 1 tight needle to this slip point, I pulled a chain to the slip point. Look, I am going up. I'm inserting into the top of the single crochet. I took off a stitch directly. In the meantime, we will knit tight needles. I am inserting into the top of the next single crochet. In the meantime, look, we went up with 1 chain. Actually, we accepted both chains as single crochets. With the slip point, look, the row number is completed. In other words, our number will remain constant as multiples of 3. We had already applied this in the first row of tight needles. We counted our single crochets as 3 plus 3 plus. Now the model consists of multiples of 3. Now we are here. We will insert the single crochets on top. We will knit 1 single crochet during this time. Maybe the ending and beginning will be important in this model because it is a very, very easy example. Those who know how to knit will do this very easily, but it is useful to give these details for those who do not know. Now look, our bag immediately became hollow here. After the second row, the bag immediately became hollow in the single crochet row. Now we will continue from here. Look, these turns are also wondered in this corner, because for beginners, we will continue knitting in the same way here, move on to the opposite side and knit the same knitting. We will have progressed to the end of the row. Look, now we have come to the end of our row. We inserted the last single crochet here to the top and knitted our single crochet, and now there was a slip point. We will continue these slips again. I am coming. I have inserted the top of the first single crochet and removed the loop. I have removed it. I am slipping the loop through the waiting loop, and now at this point I am going up with 1, 2, 3 chains. Now we will move on to knitting our double crochet row. I am filling. I will accept a double crochet in these 3 chains. I have wrapped it around the beginning of the hook. I am coming. Look here, I have inserted the top of the first single crochet. I have removed the loop from the top of the single crochet that we have slipped. There are 3 loops I am filling. I have wrapped them together again. I am preparing a double crochet by knitting them together. We have accepted a double crochet in 3 chains. I am filling. I am coming to the same space and knitting another double crochet. I am filling. There is no chain in between, etc. Now at this point we will leave a couple of spaces, insert the single crochet into the 3rd space and remove our loop. We are knitting a double crochet. We will knit 3 double crochets in the same space. I am filling 2, the 3rd double crochet in the same space. Look, we will continue like this. I am filling 1 or 2, insert the 3rd space, insert the 3rd point, remove the loop, double crochet, and now 3 double crochets in the same point. We knit 2. And 3. Look, we will continue the model like this. Now we will make a turn and advance to the first point we started from. Now we have come to the end of our row. Now we have made the last example to the point. Here we have knitted 3 treble crochets. When we look at the last part, there is 1 tight stitch and 1 slip stitch left. In other words, we were working our model by leaving 2 spaces in between, and look at the 3rd space. There are always 2 spaces in between. The model is completed with 2 spaces at the end. What am I doing now? After knitting the last treble crochet, I sink to the top of the first treble crochet without touching the 3 chains here. I took off a stitch and made a slip stitch here. I sink to the top of the next treble crochet. I took off a stitch. I slipped the stitch I took off from the waiting stitch. Now I am coming. Look at the wide space between the treble crochet groups. I sink to the wide space. I took off a stitch. I make a slip stitch again. Then I pull 1, 2, 3 chains at this point. In other words, I have advanced to the intermediate space right now. Normally this was our end and beginning. Now look, this part is done. From here we will always work the intervals in between. Look, we will work on these spaces. We accept a new double crochet in 3 chains. We wrapped. We come to this space and knit 2 double crochets. Until now we will continue in the same way. I am filling, passing the triple treble crochet, and I am knitting 3 treble crochets by sinking into the wide space in between. 2, 3. Look, we will work the double crochet groups in this way. I am filling, I am sinking into the next space and knitting 3 double crochets in the intermediate space. I am showing this part so that the model can be understood clearly. We now know how to knit double crochets. Look, we will continue in this way until the end of the row. Look, we have come to the end of our row. The last interval is empty. We knit 3 double crochets. We repeat the process we did in the bottom row. Look, we come to 3. Without touching the chain, we sink to the top of the first double crochet. We sink to the top of the double crochet in the middle and make our slip. We sink to the top of the next double crochet, slip again, then we come to the intermediate space, sink to this intermediate space and slip again. Then we go up by pulling 1, 2, 3 chains in this part. So look, we have repeated the same work we did. After 3 chains, we knit 2 double crochets in the intermediate space at the beginning. Then we knit 3 double crochets in the other spaces. Because we accept 1 double crochet in the 3 chains here, we come to the intermediate space and knit 3 double crochets again. How to do 2 and 3 double crochets? We know that we knit. That's why I'm going through these a little faster. Now we're going to knit groups of triple crochets by sinking into the intermediate spaces again until the end of the row. We've come to the end of our row in the last intermediate space. After knitting 3 double crochets, we don't knit the 3 chains here again. We're going to sink into this intermediate space here. Look, I'm sinking into the intermediate space between the double crochet and the chain here, making a slip stitch and making a slip. Now I'm going up with 2 chains at this point. We're going to knit a single double crochet. Look here, after these 2 chains, I wrapped it with a hook and I come to the same space. Look, I come to the space here. I pulled off a loop. I collect 3 loops at once. This is also called a single crochet. We said that we will repeat the same process below. I am filling, but we will insert it into the intermediate spaces. Look, we will insert it into the wide space between the double crochets, not into the tops of the double crochets. We will insert it into the intermediate spaces. Then I come to the space. Look at this point again. We will insert our single double crochets by keeping the loops a little longer like this. We will always insert it into the intermediate spaces during this time. Look, let's complete the single crochets like this until the end of the row. Look, we have come to the end of our row. At this point, we have sunk the last part. We are not sunk in the gap between the chain and the last crochet. We are not sunk in the gap between the chain and the last crochet. We had 2 chains right here. I am sunk in the top of the first crochet without touching the 2 chains. I have made a loop. I am slipping. This slipping gives me 1 single crochet. In fact, the process we are doing here is exactly the same. Now what are we doing? We are going up 1 chain, this row, our row, single crochet by sinking into the top of each single crochet. Look, I am coming to the same point, single crochet, sinking into the next point, single crochet. Now we will knit our single crochets by sinking into the top of each single crochet. By the way, it is useful to show this. I am sinking into the top of the single crochet. Look, it should come out like this from the back. We will knit our single crochets like this. Then look, the model will be completed like this. In fact, we are knitting the single crochet point here, 1 row, single crochet, 1 row, single crochet. Then we will have prepared the triple groups with 3 rows of double crochets. See, the example is just like this. I want it. Let's complete this row. Let's share this starting point with you once again. We have come to the end of the row. Since we accept 1 single crochet at the slip point, we do not touch the slip point. We insert the loop to the top of the first single crochet we knitted and make our slip. Look at these slip points. That is, since we accept a gap, so we make the connection with the slip point without knitting in that part. Now in this part we will go up with 1, 2, 3 chains. That is, we will make our beginning here. In fact, we will have passed to the row with single crochet, double crochet. This model will always continue in this way. Now after pulling 3 chains, I fill the hook. I come into the same space and first knit 2 double crochets, 1, 2, then I fill with the hook, 1, 2, I knit the triple crochet group by inserting into the 3rd space, 1, 2, look, the ending and beginnings will proceed like this. Look. Now we say repeat the row here. After knitting this 3 rows, 1 row of single crochet, 1 row of single crochet. Then we pass to these triple crochet groups again. This row, look, this we will repeat the point 3 times. We did 1 part together. We started the 2nd part. We will have repeated it 3 times as in the original. You can adjust the size as you want. This model does not have to repeat 3 rows. You can add more model. You can also make it smaller. As I said, after understanding the logic of knitting, you can prepare this work in the dimensions you want. Now look, we will repeat 3 rows of triple crochet group, then 1 row of single crochet, 1 row of single crochet, then repeat the triple crochet group again, and at the end we will complete our bag with single crochet, single crochet. Look, we have completed our bag. We have come to the last point. I want to show it like this closely. Look, we knitted the last single crochet here and started our double crochet row. After making 3 rows, we knitted our single crochet row, single crochet again, and we repeated this model again. Look, there will be 3 more. Now at this point, we knitted single crochet after the last triple crochet group, and we finished with single crochet. In the original bag, they finished with a single crochet here, but I want to slip in the mouth of the row. Now I'm coming to this point. Look, the last slip point is after knitting the last single crochet with a single crochet. I insert the stitch into the top of the first single crochet. I pull out a loop. Do I slip? I insert the next single crochet. I pull out a loop. Do I slip? By doing slips like this. Even let's do a little like this so that the slip point also appears as one. Look, by doing slips like this, we have finished our bag. Now 1 ball of yarn was enough for this. A full ball of yarn is enough for this work. Let's say the hand of our bag right away. Its hand is 31 centimeters. Let's say the length in terms of the length. Let's keep it like this, 22 centimeters. It is now 23.5 centimeters long. Now we will finish our bag by wrapping it. Then we will complete our bag by ironing it with steam feathers. After finishing the knitting part of our bag, I ironed it nicely with a steam lint. Look, it looks very neat. Don't be afraid to iron it. Ironing does not damage the yarn. Now all that's left is the lining. Our bag recipe for lining was like this. I hope you like it and try it. I wish good luck to those who will do it. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see you in the next video.